He used to sit here and, well, time and again harp the subject that you see me seated over here, but once you begin to see me seated within you, all search, all endeavor, all struggle come to an end. So what we have to strive for is to see Him adorn our heart. And for that He said, drive away all the strangers that are there, because I am very shy of the strangers. That's simple, isn't it? Finished. So your having come over here will not be in vain. It's good. Don't make it like the racehorse on the race track that he also ran. No. He is the first and the last horse. This visit. Don't make it as if that, well, you are going to Kenya, on your way you have visited. No, this is the first and this is the last.
Yes,
remember that.
Yes, I found that.
Yeah.
The rest was an excuse.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, I knew that before I came. I knew that about 3 weeks
good.
ago.
That's good.
The day after I made the decision to come here, I realised that this was the real purpose. And the rest of it had to be set up so that I could get
Yeah,
here.
so that
Yes, that's strange.
it's good that you thought of it. Anthony, you're an architect. He is an architect. You're not going to Nairobi?
No.
He is going on your behalf.
Yes.
On behalf of what? New Zealand.
New Zealand architect.
Yeah.
Yes, as a minister.
What did he do? Didn't shave properly?
No, yes.
Well, then how will you draw the sketches and drafts, you see?
It's good to be here.
Yeah, it is. Good to have you here. Maria had told us about you. I was so sad yesterday, couldn't greet you, couldn't be with you.
I saw you.
But Baba made it possible that today we sit here.
You were hiding yesterday, weren't you?
From you, not from him.
No.
And him also. He has come from a long distance after a long time. And we love him very much. He is the pillar, the backbone of Baba work in New Zealand. Yesterday I missed that story of yours of Brisbane. Did you contact Peterson? No, not yet.
Is he from New Zealand? Or
No, he's from Australia. Step by step. Yeah. See how he makes the step by step descent in our midst. When he descended, he was a different one. Then he comes in our midst at Ahmednagar in this shape, and this shape, and that shape, and this shape, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. See how it is? Yeah. He becomes more and more. First, he becomes, to us, he appears to be rather, well, we are awestruck seeing him, being with him. Then he comes down to our level, you see, and makes us feel one with him. And the sharpest weapon that he uses to do that is to fill himself with ignorance, the all-knowing. And comes closer to us. He says, from where have you come? What's your name? He will ask you. My name is Russell. Oh, you're Russell. Fine. What's your second name? Withers. Oh. Wither in my love, brother. He'll say that. Yeah. There's something that he has said about withering, you know.
Yes.
You remember that to Harry Kenmore he has said that.
About what, Eric?
Withering.
Withering. Wither in my love.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Withering, my love. Remember that.
So Russell has the right to doing that.
Yeah. Successive times, you see, succeeding times. Say, well, how long you are going to stay, he would ask. You know, as I told you, he would use ignorance, you know. I said, Baba, I am hoping to stay here. I have vacation of about 15 days. I'll be here for 15 days. So I said, be here. Eh? Yes, Baba, I'm here. Then after an hour or so, he says, be here. Be here. He will always say that. You know why? And he says, yes, I am here, Baba. I'm going to be here for 15 days. He says, yeah, but be here. Because mind wanders. You follow? All that he wants is your mind to be here. Your body is here, of course. But he wants you to be here. And what is you is nothing but your mind. Your personality, your ego. Be here, you'd say.
On the way out, I bought a camera and I ran out of film halfway through on the bus, and for a while I thought, I wish I'd bought the other film, spare film.
Yeah.
And I realised without that I'm going to have to be here instead of walking around just snapping, you know.
With him, there were no such contraptions, you see, as these recorders and all that. So we were not distracted or anything. We just focused ourselves. He made us do that. And so that's the most important thing, you see. What happens with these contraptions, they are helpful, no doubt, to recall the words. But what happens is that tempts us that, well, the words are being recorded, let's go out and have a puff of cigarette or anything. I can go out, you see, and be outside, you see. So this will catch hold of all the moments of this day. So that's how we depend upon the inanimate thing rather than being here. You see, that's how it happens.
No, it's behind the words, isn't it?
Yeah. And then when you go back home, you find it has not recorded anything. Oh, how I wish I were there.
Eric, that just happened now.
Really? What happened?
The talk before,
Yeah.
it didn't jump, it didn't stop at the right place.
And then?
And it just
Didn't record.
didn't record, it
Didn't
didn't show up.
Yeah, that's right. All the stuff about
So what can
the
I
old
do?
point, from all the real
From
good
the
material.
See,
And I just I was just sitting here listening to you, but nothing being recorded on the tape. So then I thought it may the machine may have got faulty. So I played that same tape back, and the second time it worked perfectly. Except that all that has been
Yeah,
blank.
because we depend upon something other than ourselves. Well,
Mind you, I didn't go out for a smoke, huh?
no.
These are important for people back home who can't get here.
But why can't you?
Yes.
Baba would always
I
tell
know.
us. Yeah, Baba would always tell us. We didn't have these things.
No.
Why
You
did
had your
we
memory.
form? Yeah, you see, you will notice that those who had lived with him, they have formed a habit of repeating the same theme again and again. While even narrating to you, they will repeat 2 or 3 times the same thought, you see. Why? Because we have formed a habit from him. He would always be very insistent upon his close ones through circumstances were unable to be present at the time, on the day. So he will depute one of us to go there and report exactly what had happened and make them feel that they were present here. So we had to even give the atmosphere and this and that and everything. We had to see to that because the Lord wished that way. So we carry it in our minds, the impressions, everything here, you see. Yeah. This was a cassette, a recorder, our tapes and everything here. Videotapes also here inside, you know. And that is good, as long as he allows the memory to function. And when time comes, he erases everything, you see. And that's the best time, the time, when everything is erased except him. No paraphernalia besides him.
Eric, if
Yes.
if it's not asking too much, maybe I can give it a second bash. You mind repeating what you
Oh
said?
my. How am I to remember things, you see,
I
like
get
that?
pardon?
How am I to remember?
I'll tell
He has taken away the memory.
Ah,
Gavin, yeah, she is a good one.
She's
She is a real lovable one. Come on now, repeat. Come on.
It just left an impression here that I
Now see what happened, you see. You get
mean,
it.
when-
Paul is there. So many were here, you see.
It's good that I was not here.
First and
At some
foremost,
point-
listen how we, you know, the best way to do that, recall the things, is to go in a chronological order, you see. What happened when we came here first? Why did we enter the hall? This is how I was taught to remember. What happened? Yeah, we came in this hall bringing this book called The Gospel of Buddha. And we came here, what? I said, well, such a fine thing. We began there, outside, you know, with the rose. See how it is, it feels jilted being lying like that. Have the fragrance and it gets vivified, you see. It gets life back. See, I said, see, smell the rose scent. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So now we begin with this. So this is what it is. Then it will come gradually. Without that, it won't come back. You have to follow through the whole thing. You don't want that. Huh?
You want it.
We want it. Where is it now? I forget now where it was. I don't know. Which page was that? Gavin, you read it out.
I don't know what page it was.
There. It's
Huh? There? What page was
back
it?
a little bit, I think. Yeah, it was before.
Before this? Hungry dog? Listless fool? No, it's not here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I don't know. We'll see it later on. Which one you wanted? What do you want, brother?
Well, you asked, just little things that Baba had told you, like he asked you about the
Those
celestial-
things.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
About the way we
Yeah,
pray.
that is
way
all.
we pray.
That is all imprinted on the mind. That has nothing to do
Right,
with it.
right. No, this has been recorded. It's just the other stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this has been recorded.
Yeah, this came out all right.
Really?
What you had read. Yes.
Wonderful then.
Yeah.
Well, it's
it, was,
good.
it was just the point about the how do we pray and why we look up at the sky when we pray.
What Baba was asking you, Eruch,
Yeah.
about when we pray to God, we look upwards.
Yeah.
And when we ask, we
Yeah.
always have our hands.
Then you put these questions. You first asked me. You started with asking me.
What is prayer?
What is prayer? Yeah. So I said, well, what we recall prayer is that first and foremost, the best of the prayer is just to remember Him. No sooner our heart remembers Him, that's the prayer. And He has assured us that no sooner you remember, the answer is, I am with you. I am there. It's not that you remember from the States or New Zealand, you remember Him here. But because of His omnipresence, as soon as you remember Him to be here, He is there with you. I am there. That's the answer. That is to answer to your remembrance. You see. So then, but this is one way. But we are weaklings, so He has given us another formula to remember Him, the prayer. And that prayer, apart from remembering Him with all our heart and soul, He said, all right, remember me this way. Pray it. Ba, ba. Inhale, exhale. Ba, 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 ba. That's how it is. So ba, 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 ba. Or God, God, God. Or this. Whatever, whosoever, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Ram, Jesus, Jesus, God the Beloved. Anything that your heart is set on, you see. If you take Him to be your friend. Like that. You can remember Him. The prayer can be enemy also. So that's how it is. You know that He has said that? Prayer, the basis of prayer is to remember Him. Whether you remember Him through love or through hate, it's just the same thing. If you hate Him, you remember Him all the more. More than you can love Him, you see. You know that quality of human mind. You go on thinking about the person whom you hate most, you see. So try to hate me most or love me most. So it will be equally remembering me. It doesn't matter. What the basis of it is to remember me. So that's how it is. The prayer is nothing but remembrance. So the second stage is remember him by any name that you can. And he has given us the name Baba at this time. Baba means the father of us all. Father and mother put in one, and so forth. Or he can be remembered as the friend or the compassionate one or beloved or anything as you want. And then he said, well, this won't do. Then there are little mutterings, you see, with the prayers, you see. And that is, sometimes you feel that you are forlorn and you don't know what to do. I am so sad at heart, Baba, fill my heart with your love. So you just mutter words, you see. Baba, I am pestered by my boss. Please see that I am not pestered, or something like that. Baba, I am now going to Kenya for a conference, you see, Baba. See that whatever I say, you see, should be in tune with your pleasure. And anybody would want to speak out. So Baba says, don't hesitate. That is also prayer. Pray whatever you feel like, ask. Either remember me, repeat my name, or ask me, but with all your heart and soul. But one thing, when you ask me, you should ask me without any hesitation. Ask me 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. If you were not to ask me, to whom will you go to ask for anything? Because I am all in all, I am the only one to whom you can go and ask. But one thing remember, whatever, howsoever sublime or mundane, you know what it is? Worldly. You ask, whatever it be, don't expect an answer. Don't expect. Otherwise you will belittle my omniscience, my compassion, my benevolence. You will belittle that. Why? How will you belittle it? By asking, Baba, please give me, my arm is broken, please see that it is rectified so soon as possible. I will ask, and I expect it to be all right in no time, you see. I must, but it's taking long time. So has he heard my prayer or not heard? I again go on repeating and asking and all that sort of thing. But then I expect the result. That means that I do not believe in omniscience, that he is the one. I do not believe in his compassion. I do not believe in his benevolence. Whatever he would want to do is through compassion. He knows that. So he says, beware. First of all, don't ask me, because I know everything. What's there to ask me about it all? But I know it. You'll feel light in your heart to ask me. If you don't ask me, to whom will you go and ask? So ask. Ask 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, but don't expect an answer. That is proper asking. You see, that's what he said. What else was there? Then it comes to my mind. Then I said to her, you see, while we pray and all that, Baba once asked us this question: when you pray, why do you look upwards and pray? Why not down like this? Why is it that anywhere in the world, when you pray, you see, it's like you're looking somewhere beyond you? Why is it that? Why is it? And usually it is always like that, you see. Expectancy and prayer, you see, that you look upwards. Why? Baba asked us. We said, well, we'll look up to him, you see, who is the Father in heaven or wherever he be. He says, no, why? It's a spontaneous reflex of the mind. Just as body reflexes are such that if I were to do that, you will try to do that, you see. So the reflex of the mind is such, you see, when it tries to contact that which is beyond itself, so it goes. When you address somebody or something which is within the limits of the mind, then you face the person. You don't ask God like this, you just do like that. Your eyes are upturned, you see. You go beyond. So Baba says that is natural reflex of the mind to address something, someone who is beyond the mind, beyond the limitations, cannot be conceived. So that's why you just do that. It's not that you're looking in the sky for the seat in heaven, but you are looking beyond the mind. You are addressing something which is beyond the concept of the mind. So that's why your eyes are turned upwards. Not because Father is in heaven, No, or he has a seat or a throne in the sky. Yeah, that's how he said. And why is it that you always crave and long to, when you are asking for some favor and all that, you hold your hands like this? Why is it like this? In supplication. Why? You don't do this. Yeah. Or you don't close your fist, or you don't stand like this, but always this way. Why is it? Because you are the receiver and he is the great giver. So receiver always has that posture. You see. That reflex of the mind, when it acts as a receiver, always does this, you see. That's the natural reflex of the mind when it takes the posture of a receiver and makes him the giver. So that's how. What else was that?
When we ask Baba for his love,
Yeah.
when we pray to Baba and we ask him for his love, and then we're talking about what Baba said that, well, what you said.
Yeah, what did he say?
It's nicer coming from you. That Baba said that we have to pursue him, that we always have his love, but we really have to go after him, that he's sleeping in our hearts.
Ah, yeah. That's right, yeah. When we ask him for his love, we ask for him. When our asking ceases for ourselves, then there is a stage that comes when we ask for him instead of asking of him. You follow? The stage comes that nothing matters, howsoever the calamities be, we are burdened with our own calamities or whatever it be. It's all insignificant for one who has crossed that stage, and instead of asking of him, we ask for him. Means ask for him, ask to have him personally. So he said, yeah, that's a good thing. Ask him for love. You had to put that question, should we ask him for love and all that, something like that. So that brought about that. So he said, yeah, do so. And not only ask, but ask 1,000 times for my love. I am already there. This is the thing that we said just now. I am already there. My place is there. I am so close to you, closer to you than your very being is, very self. I am your very being. Closer to you than your very breath, he has said. So many different ways he said. So what? I am sleeping there because you allowed me to sleep. You neglect me. You neglect me. Don't even pay any importance to my being so close to you. I am your very being and you don't. You assert yourself that I am instead of asserting that he is. So I just remain dormant. I am asleep there. So, and incarnations have passed by. And I am anxious, all the time anxious, but you allow me to sleep there. So wake me up by constantly asking, invoking, wake me up so that eventually I get so disturbed by your, pestering me, so that I wake up in you. That's what he said. And one day you get that love. Instead of asking of him something, or some favor or something, then we begin to ask for him. Baba, when will I see you? When will you give me your love? When will I be filled with your love and nothing else, and so forth.
You know, Eruch, I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Always tell them, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah.
Always,
Come here, Mani.
that's all right. Always ask, because he keeps saying ask. But ask for that which is worth. Ask for him, his pleasure, his love. But then I realized that there's also another kind of asking. You see, when you ask Baba as God, then that's how you should do, what we have just been saying. But when you ask Baba as friend, because he himself says that he's the best friend ever, and I've heard Baba gesture and tell this to a couple of American ladies who had come to Guru Prasad during darshan time. The hall was packed with his lovers, and Baba, as usual, you cannot describe it, but he gives of himself so bountifully, so naturally to all of them. And even amidst that, when you think Baba's so occupied with so many, he could have no thought for an individual. Baba would turn around and say, give them a chair. They were elderly ladies, give them a chair to be seated. Then he turned to them and he said, "Is there anything you want to ask? Is there anything you want to say?" No, Baba. But they looked a bit hesitant. They blushed a little. Baba continued with the darshan. At the end of it, again he turned to them. "Is there anything you want to say?" And one of them shyly said, "Well, Baba, the thing is we cannot take you for God, but is it all right if we take you as our friend?" And Baba beamed. He said, "Of course." He said, "I am the friend. I am the best friend ever. Remember that." So you see, when you ask as a friend, then it's different. But then it's like talking to him. When the lights go off, just when we want to read in the evening before retiring, and the lights go off, I sometimes even fight with him. So, what do you mean? Can't we have a few minutes of relaxation? Do you have to do that now? You couldn't give us a little light? Usually it goes on. I tell myself it's because I had a fight with him. But I remember one thing. Ben Heyman, a Baba lover from America, who has been with Baba a number of times during Sahbas, and he was a total and silent lover. He has, whatever he has done, whatever he has given, has been absolute silent. Now, he has a daughter. He was never married, but he adopted a girl as his daughter, who, by the way, in turn has adopted 2 boys as her sons. Lovely, lovely person. So when she first wrote to me when Ben was ill for quite some time, and so I would write back, but I wanted to make it clear. I didn't want any more correspondence. Gone were the days when I would receive a few letters and reply painstakingly answering every question, no more. So I thought, well, I better, either let her know who Baba is so she can either continue the correspondence or stop it, but not this in-between way. So when she wrote that Dodo, meaning Ben Heyman, her adopted daddy, she called him Dodo. She said, "The change in Dodo is so remarkable since he met Baba. What a wonderful person Baba must be." So I wrote back and I said, "Yes, he's a wonderful person, but he's more than that. To many of his lovers all over the world and in India, we know him to be Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus Christ, and Mary Baba." And I said, "Well, that'll mean 1 correspondence less." Not at all. She accepted it. So one day when she wrote, and Baba was in his room here in Marazad, and I read out Rose, her name is Rose Nelson because she's married. I read out her letter to Baba in which she said, "I keep calling on Baba for the littlest thing, and I feel very bad because I'm bothering him all the time, and I shouldn't call on him for every little thing." But so I read that letter to Baba, and Baba said, "Write to her, go right on bothering me, as long as you remember me." So you see, asking Baba as a friend, one can put in a lot of little things, domestic things or things like that. That's on the friend level. But really asking Baba as God for any of your problems or things like that, he knows. He is in control because he's in control of you. He has chosen you, taken you to himself. So he knows. He knows before one can say it. And but as a friend for little things, yes, we get away with that. Acha, can I just tell you a little about a film? The film we're going to see today is a favorite film of Baba, and the actors in it are Baba's favorite comedians, Stan and Laurel. Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel. Baba's gesture for them was the fat one and the thin one. So, and this particular film was very much enjoyed by Baba and all of us. And I'll give you a gist of the story. I remember it very well because there's no soundtrack on the film. It's a silent one sent by Ursula and Ed Van Buskett for our enjoyment. And the story is that Oliver and Stan are both working in a in a factory where they produce motor horns in those days. I don't know how much of the film will come in this version of 40 minutes because that was 2.5 hours, but I'll tell you as much of it as I would like to so that you can grasp from it. So they're working in this motor horn business, but all day long there's nothing but sound. Pop, beep, boop, boop, boop. And naturally, after some time, it has got on their nerves, on the fat one's nerves, on Oliver's nerves. And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, what you need is a change. Ocean air, a sea air, and goat's milk, and rest and change. So he goes and gives in his papers, and they're leaving. And just as they're leaving the factory, of course, the stand would step on one of the horns that has fallen down. Whomp! And the fat one just quivers like jelly, and you know, they're very much upset about it. So they rent a boat with a cabin, and you know, one of those small boats. And they have taken a goat along with them. And at last they've started on their journey. Now, they'd never milked a goat. They didn't know how to milk a goat. So this tickled Baba a lot, because the Stan didn't know how to milk a goat, but he found that the goat had two little hanging tits under his chin, you know, like I think billy goats have, I don't know. So he kept pulling at that, and nothing happened. Anyway, so many little things happen. Everything goes wrong. You see, anything that the thin one does is always puts the fat one in exhausts him. And so, for instance, when he's resting on the bed, because he's supposed to rest, a photo frame that's on top of his bed falls, and then the whole frame comes around his head. And in the end, he says, "Get me an ice bag, Stan. Get me an ice bag." So Stan goes and gets him an ice bag. And he goes and puts the ice bag on his head. And Oliver is very satisfied. And after a while he realizes there's no ice in the bag. So he says, but, and the little one says, "Oh, you told me to put it in an ice bag." Didn't tell me to put ice in it, you see. Little things like that. Now, at one time, somehow, this boat had been used by a gang of robbers as stowaways. And they didn't know. Here they are for rest and change. And a lot of things happen that speaks for itself on the film. But Stan has a musical instrument, which I believe you call the horn. I mean, you pull it out and pull it in. Boop, 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 boop. Huh? Trombone. That's it. It's a trombone. And somehow, what happens is, when Stan plays the trombone, Oliver gets so much strength, you know. He can grapple with an elephant, do anything. So at one point, after all these funny things happen on the boat, when they discover that the robbers are there, and the robbers command them to do this for them and do that. They're slaving for the robbers instead of having rest. They tell them to cook for them. So what they're doing is, Stan has a grand idea. They cook for him a sole of a shoe and all kinds of things instead of macaroni, strings. But they don't know that the robbers are watching them from up the hatch. And they are so, you know, jubilant that this is what they will feed the robbers. Now the robbers come time for lunch and they say, no, we're not hungry. We want you to eat. So they force the fat one and the thin one to eat the lunch they had prepared, and they put a string in their mouth, and the acting speaks for itself. So now, at one time something happens, and on the deck, the fat one is running round and round, and that crook is after him, you know, trying to catch him. And poor little Stan is so nervous, so terrified. He's sitting there. And every time they pass Stan, the fat one says, "Blow the horn, blow the horn." And the thin one says, I'm trying to. But because he's so nervous, that the trombone comes apart. It comes apart, and he can't put it back. And the more he is nervous, the more he trembles. At last he gets it, and he blows the trombone. And then Oliver gets so much strength. I mean, he just knocks out those crooks at once. And a lot of other things happen. Now, years later, when we're going to Guru Prasad from Marazad, like every year we would do for 3 months with Baba, as we're approaching Guru Prasad, and Dr. Donkin was driving the car. and we were behind. And next to Dr. Duncan was Gohar, and next to Gohar was Meru. And Baba, Mera, and myself would be at the back. So some distance from Guru Prasad, as we were approaching Guru Prasad, Baba said to me to tell Gohar, tell Don to, blow the horn, sound the horn. So I suddenly came to, and I said, Gohar? She said, what? And I said in Gujarati, Baba says, tell him to sound the horn. So suddenly she starts and says, Don, blow the horn. And Baba at the back saying, fat one and the thin one, blow the horn. And he laughed and we all laughed. So we're going to see that film.
Very often, one who is hated,
Yeah.
then loved. The secret behind it all is to remember him. Remember him the way you want. The purpose of creation is nothing but, it's all a reminder to remember him. That's what he had said.
Remember him with love.
Of course, anything, love, hate, whatever
Or
it
hate.
is. He just put a period. The purpose of creation is to serve as a reminder to remember him. That's all. And how beautiful it is, that concept. Suppose if you were to love somebody, say somebody is there and you love the person. At that time, that person, not at that time, most of the time, when she passes her or he passes his time in remembering him, but you don't want to remember him. But somehow or other you remember her or him in that person. You follow what I'm saying? Say a man falls in love with a woman. In short, take a concrete example. One has fallen in love with her and she is God-loving. All the time she is remembering the Lord. Your remembering her leads you to remember him. That's the beauty of the Great One.
All connected.
All connected.
So Eruch says, so knowing that, I feel more comfortable when women fall in love with me now.
That's beautiful. That's what you're meant for, you see, that women should fall in love with you. Otherwise, why else is this figure given to you?
So my job would be remember him.
My job, your job is there to remember him.
If they want to hang on to me.
Yeah. That's what happened to that woman called Zulekha. Well, that happened with Rabia. That great story that Baba told us about Rabia's love for the Lord and how people would go to her in the brothel. You know that story that has been printed, I think. No?
In Bill's book.
Yeah. Have you read that?
The woman you told us about, the woman you told us about who wrote, who was at university, she was very beautiful, she wanted to tell people about Baba, and they kept falling in love with her.
Yeah. I was reminded when she told me that of her plight, that she wanted to work for Baba and lead a dedicated life in his cause and all that. That's what she told me. And she was doing that, but then it was a very sad affair, and she felt so upset about it that while she was telling them about Baba, the boys fell in love with her, you see. It was a very complicated affair. Yeah. So I was reminded of that story long back he had told us, of Rabia. That you can put to use your handsomeness or beauty,
My charm,
your charm.
all my money.
Now you're going too far.
I didn't know you had any money, Daddy.
Yeah, what do you
Well, might as well play it up big.
You better get a big Baba button about that big.
why the beauty or handsomeness is given to you is just to reflect His glory. But if you make use of it in a different way, finish. Gone. Executed. As long as Majnun reflected his glory, he just remained drowned in love for him. But no sooner he asserted, finished, he was executed. That's good. So you're getting second thoughts regarding your figure, eh? That's good. That's how it should be. Otherwise, what's the sense? It has been said, not just because of us, you see, that it is any figure, any beauty is nothing but His creation, no? Huh? Yeah. There has been an instance in the life of Buddha that there came a very, very well-to-do person, very much honored, influential and all that. And he stood at one corner in a grove where Buddha was giving his words of wisdom or truth, or whatever you call it, or the writer would want to call it. And he was so fascinated and impressed that he was a trader, he was carrying en route dresses for himself, gowns and all that. So he ordered two of them, told his men to get the two best ones that were there. And they were so beautiful, so radiant, so glorious, an apparel you may call it, as clothes, that any ugly person were to wear it would become beautiful. So the description is given that with very humbly and lovingly offered them, the two of them, to Buddha. And Buddha, seeing his heart, knowing about his feelings surging within his heart, accepted them. So when he accepted them, naturally he went a step forward, just like he went one step forward with his wealth. So he says, I would love to see, I would love my eyes to see you wear, you see. So this is all right, to please him, he wore. So what happened was that wearing the apparel, the beauty, the charm of the apparel was lost when Buddha wore the apparel, yeah. It is said so. Instead of enhancing, because he being the creator of beauty, this beautiful apparel was dulled in its beauty, or whatever you call it, in comparison to his beauty, standing against his beauty. What is the English? How would you speak it out?
Next to his beauty.
Next to his beauty, paled. That's how. anybody producing his work of art, any art, call it painting, poetry, your architectural skills, carpentry, sculptures, whatever it be, you see, if they are dedicated to reflect his glory, beautiful. On their own, they may appear to be so, but it doesn't last. Anything that is done in love of him, thinking of him, remembering him, dedicating to his glory and so on, they always outshine and remain almost eternal. Do you mean to say that if Peter and Paul and John and all were not associated with Jesus, they would be remembered now? Would they be remembered in their own category, even if they had become some saintly personages? Nothing. They would have faded out. But because of association with the eternal, their memory remains eternal. Otherwise, what value have they? Nothing. On their own. Worthless. They have no standing on their own. They have no standing. So likewise, our associating with him and keeping our association intact all the time, all times, for all times, is worthwhile. Not that you may be perpetuated. Then you begin to love. Real loving begins there. When you exhibit not of extraordinary personality, but he must be God, because it's the attributes of God that are being exhibited here. So that's how eventually my stubborn, stupid mind accepted him as one who says he is. Through his attributes, through the attributes of God. Otherwise it was not possible. No amount of my being with him or anything of the sort, but it is his compassion which he exercised and allowed me to be close to him. And these attributes I saw manifested there. You might ask me now, give me instances of the attributes. What was it? Why? What do you mean by his infinite compassion? What do you mean by his infinite charity and all that? So, but my tongue is tied.
But your narration of the events in the process or in the gradual course in the life to come is very fine.